Foundation, Adam Tragone. Adam, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Hey, listen, you've done a survey of the top 100 universities across the country and their commencement speakers, and wow, they had an overwhelming number of conservatives. Not really, right?
Exactly. We've been doing it for 20 years here at Young America's Foundation, and it seems that it's the same old, and we looked at the U.S. News and World Report top 100 list of top universities and colleges, and it includes most of the Ivy League schools, if not all of them, and found that liberals are dominating conservatives in great numbers. You can look through the top 100, and depending on how conservative you are, you could see no conservatives on that list. Certainly there are some political folks that ran for office on one particular side that are speaking there, namely John Huntsman and some former members of Congress. But nonetheless, you're seeing countless liberals, such as Oprah Winfrey. Mayor Cory Booker from Newark, New Jersey, is on the list 3 times. The president is on the list as well. He's speaking at 3 graduations this summer in total. Vice President Joe Biden is also there. Melinda Gates from the Gates Foundation, who has certainly come out in support of contraceptives. So we're seeing a deluge of liberals on some of the most prestigious campuses in the country, while seeing no conservatives whatsoever.
You mean Oprah's not a conservative?
No. Exactly.
Yeah, she spoke at Harvard.
She did.
Harvard.
Yeah. Pearls of wisdom from her religious beliefs, I'm sure. Hey, listen, in a way, Adam, should we be surprised about this? Because for a long time now, university campuses have been propaganda machines for the left. And here's what really bugs me, Adam. I'm a taxpayer. Mom and dads are taxpayers. Conservative mom and dads are taxpayers. Yet it's their money that's going in to these, to spend 3 or 4 years of your kid. You're giving your kids over to these professors, these schools, who not only promote liberalism, all right, but they also denigrate conservative values. And that is frustrating to me.
Without a doubt. And it's frustrating to so many who are taxpayers, exactly. And I don't know if there's any solace to be had, especially when you look at the story that came out of Boston College. Now, we have a Catholic institution that obviously has a set of values that they try to uphold in their mission and in what they do. And they invited the Prime Minister of Ireland, and Kenny is his name. He is part of a coalition in his government over there that are promoting a massive pro-choice legislation to make Ireland a Catholic country, a predominantly Catholic country, make abortion legal in some wild terms. And he spoke at a Catholic university here in America and received a standing ovation from the students. And out of the Boston Globe, where I first wrote the story, a standing ovation is rare at a commencement speech at Boston College, which the story noted. So for someone to be completely against a school's mission statement, its values, its visions, to receive a standing ovation, it's very scary. And what was so incredible about that piece was a student was interviewed, and he said he didn't understand why people were upset and why people wanted to make it a policy issue. Well, that certainly blew my mind, especially considering the fact when you look at 3 very big examples of conservatives who have been ostracized and have had their invitations revoked just this year by campuses, invitations to speak at commencement addresses, namely Ben Carson, who we know and probably most of your listeners know is a very well-renowned neurosurgeon from Johns Hopkins, who came out fairly critical of this administration's liberal policies. He was going to speak at Johns Hopkins, the place where he works, and the liberal students had a petition to make sure that he didn't. And he didn't, because of just the uproar in some of his comments. A Reverend Kevin Johnson, wrote a op-ed in a Philadelphia newspaper critical of the president's attitudes and his, I guess, lack of concern and care for the African American community in this country. He was speaking, or was planning on speaking, at Morehouse College, which is a predominant black university. His invitation was revoked, and I know the school ended up having him give a sermon to sort of make up for the fact of the school taking away the invitation. But that still doesn't change the fact that it was taken away in the first place. And what was ironic about that gentleman was the replacement for him was President Obama. So obviously something is awry here, where liberals are allowed to criticize conservatives and get conservatives off of campuses this summer, while, on the other hand, conservatives, or people of Christian values and obviously of a moral code, they are just laughed at if they want to speak up against someone that is against their own values. So there's an incredible double standard.
You know, Adam, it makes a joke of the claim that we've heard for years that universities, the professors are, of course, protected and they can teach almost anything that they want. But also the claim that you need to send your kid to university because it broadens their minds. It opens them up to all kinds of different worldviews and ideologies, and that's what university is all about. But what university has become, I would say in most cases, what universities have become is a place where only one ideology is taught. That is the ideology, the liberal ideology, the secular worldview ideology. They want to instill that in the minds of these kids, and they denounce anything that goes against that.
Without a doubt. And it is supposed to be the laboratory of ideas, but has been completely overrun, it seems, by classes, by professors that obviously come from a certain mindset and a certain worldview that is antithetical to what some of us grew up with and some of us still hold dear, and it's a Christian worldview, and it's not there anymore. Now, granted, it's not completely overwrought. You know, there are still places where conservatives can feel safe, or at least there's a balance. There's a respectable balance. There is a decorum, a civil discourse that still remains. But by and large, if you just look at the list that we did and look at some of the things we've done in the past, we've looked at course curriculum, we've looked at course titles that kids will have at large universities, and it doesn't seem very good. And if you look, and I did a notables list as well that I included in some of the materials when I talked about the commencement survey. You know, there are some great conservatives, some great Christian folks that spoke at campuses this summer of lesser schools, like someone like Eric Metaxas, who's been extremely popular as of late for some of his books on William Wilberforce and Dietrich Bonhoeffer. He spoke at a small school, a small Christian school in Florida. But you know, none of these folks are speaking at large institutions, the Ivies or places like Johns Hopkins or places like the University of Michigan, large schools with a large endowment and a large alumni support and things like that. So I don't know what the answer is to get good conservative Christian folks at places like that.
Adam, one of the things, you talk about these large universities. Well, with a large university is going to come most likely come a large student loan debt at the end of it. And I just think of the student who is sitting there at one of these universities and he sees someone like House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi or President Barack Obama or Joe Biden come up and they're giving these great grandiose commencement speeches, and then I have to think, here I am with $60,000 in student loans, and 53% of recent grads are unemployed, and I have no idea how I'm going to pay for that or even live after I get here. But hey, thanks for the uplifting speech there, buddy.
Right, exactly. And it's really funny because we here at Young America's Foundation also polled the people that we're talking about, students who are 18 to 24 who are either going to college or just graduated from college. And they are resoundingly seeing what we're seeing now. That there are no jobs. Jobs is the most important factor to them, and it's the factor they vote on. They at least say that. The past election would beg to differ, it seems, but at this point, and in the poll that we conducted, they want less government, they want less taxes, and they want less intrusion from government in their daily lives, by resounding margins. But whether or not that translates, and I think this is the crux of the issue, gentlemen. It's how can we get young folks to realize the consequences from engaging in the political process, and by what I mean by that is voting. Obviously, swept up in the grandeur of President Obama in 2008, and saw for 4 years nothing really changing, and even getting worse. But young people still went out in droves and voted. But when we spoke to them in our poll, it seems that if the election were now, they wouldn't have voted for him. So it's surprising, and I'm not sure what we have to do in making young people know and young people cognizant of the fact that their vote really does matter and has consequences. And the policies that are going on now aren't conducive for jobs and aren't conducive for better high-paying jobs and a better cost or a better standard of living going forward. You can listen to Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama say how great you guys are and you're the future and you'll be better than their generation. But at this point, I'm not sure that that's going to happen if we continue down this path.
In your survey, you also made mention of the fact that some of the speakers are members of the news media, from NPR and PBS and CNN and, of course, the New York Times. A few weeks ago on this program, Adam, we spoke with Shannon Bream, who is the legal correspondent for Fox News. She also happens to have her doctorate in jurisprudence. Very, very smart woman. Now, she was invited back to speak to her alma mater, Liberty University. But there you have an extremely qualified individual, both as a journalist, as a lawyer, high-profile job, a female, all of those things wrapped into one individual, never got an invite from a secular university.
Correct. And as you see at that list, you mentioned New York Times, CNN, all of those folks. And Shannon Bream is a prime example of the organization that saw zero people on that top 100 list. News Corp. She said she works for Fox News. But News Corp also owns the Wall Street Journal, which is the largest circulation of a daily newspaper in the country. Beats the USA Today. Surely beats the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, bastions of liberalism. And they were nowhere to be had on that list. So the most successful news channel in the country, most successful newspaper, no one.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Adam, we got to run. Adam Tragone of the Young America's Foundation. Adam, how can people get in touch with you and read your research?
Yeah, absolutely. Young America's Foundation. We're online at yaf.org. Polls. Just good articles on liberal bias and what it means to be a conservative student right now and the problems that they're facing. YAF.org.
All right, Adam. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
You take care. Hey, listen, we're fresh out of time.